I always noticed the Lowlands section at Dan Murphy's looked a little bit narrow, especially compared to the Highlands and Speyside. And it's not surprising since there's less than 20 distilleries located there, and many grain whiskies for blends, not always their own offerings, and there are over 50 in Speyside alone. I'd heard of Bladnoch, so when this was in my advent calendar, I guess I had to try my first Lowlands Scotch Whisky. Ready when you are. This is Whiskey. I'm John Chidgey. Please remember to drink responsibly in moderation and where and when appropriate. Feel free to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and visit engineer.network/whiskey, without the E, to learn how you can support the show. Thank you. When I visited the Bladnoch website, I started to notice some interesting things. Namely, there was a United Kingdom option and an Australian option. It's kind of strange since Bladnoch is in Scotland, but then I dug into it some more and found out that whilst the distillery was founded in 1817, and is one of Scotland's oldest, it was revamped in part by an Australian entrepreneur called David Pryor in 2015. So where did it all start? In 1817, John and Thomas McClelland obtained a license to make whisky on their farm that was located in the hamlet of Bladnoch, near Wigtown in southwest Scotland. It became very popular and its production peaked in 1885 at 230,000 litres of whisky per annum, making Bladnoch the largest in the region and earning it the nickname the Queen of the Lowlands. There were many closures and changes of hands that I'm just not going to go into, but it was going into liquidation in 2014 that prompted David Pryor and ex-Scotch Whisky Association CEO Gavin Hewitt to buy it. Before it reopened in 2017, 3 single malts were released using existing stocks of Bladnoch in Australia, the UK, and several other global markets, with some acclaim. Production at Bladnoch Distillery restarted in mid-2017 with their 6 washbacks, and 2 14,000 litre wash stills and 2 10,500 litre spirit stills, reaching a production today of 1.5 million litres of spirit every year. Bladnoch was back. Now, the full-size version of this goes for about $100 Australian for a 700ml bottle from Dan Murphy's. It has no age statement, it has a 46.7% ABV, and it is not chill filtered nor is it coloured. It's considered to be part of their core range, but the website doesn't specifically call that out. They have lots of different ranges or series like their single casks and dragon series, but Vinaya isn't grouped like that either way. This particular whiskey's won a multitude of awards, and in 2022 alone it took a bronze at the World Whisky Awards in the single malt non-age statement category, a silver at the International Wine and Spirit Competition, and a double gold at the San Francisco World Spirit Competition that year. The Bladnoch website has the following commentary about the Vinaya. Matured in first fill bourbon and first fill sherry casks for notes of fresh apple, sweet floral grass, and hints of chocolate, Vinaya is a Sanskrit word meaning respect and gratitude and pays homage to the original founders of the distillery. Cool. Their website also has some actually concise tasting notes. The colour, summer barley field. Okay. On the nose, sweet floral grass with boiled sweets. The palate, fresh green apples and chocolate with a hint of pepper. And on the finish, light and refreshing. Well, refreshing is what those tasting notes are, since they're not ridiculously over the top. Well, let's see what this has got, shall we? That is definitely probably a slightly darker straw colour, if I'm honest. But, it is quite light in colour. And I'm looking for some legs on this baby, and it does have some thick legs. There's some more forming around that side, and then they start running pretty quickly. Let's see what we got on the nose. Oh, it's definitely grassy. A little bit floral. Get a little bit of lavender on that, actually. Smelling a bit of apple, actually. I reckon a little bit of light green apple on the nose. Definitely a little bit of apple. It smells sweet, but I don't know about the boiled sweets bit. It does smell very light and refreshing, that's for sure. Let's give it a shot. Got a little bit of spice to it. A little bit peppery, yeah. The mouthfeel, a bit thin, a bit watery, to be honest. Not creamy at all, not oily, not buttery. That's okay. I mean, for a light and refreshing whiskey, I guess that's almost what you would expect. Because you can't chew on it at all. That's all right. Finish is very short. It's not particularly strong. The only burn I've got is right at the back of my palate, and it's quickly fading, and that's fine. It's an interesting one, that's for sure. It certainly is very light. I'm not really getting any chocolate on the palate. That green apple on the palate's more like a toffeed apple. Just not particularly strong. It's like it's a very light toffee. Sometimes you get like it's like a burnt toffee or a burnt caramel kind of a taste. This is not that. This is actually quite a light toffee. And it's got a nice little apple sort of an edge to it. If there is any chocolate in there, it's super faint, and it would be a milk chocolate, that's for sure. But yeah, there's like an oaky pepperiness to it as well. So it's not exactly super smooth in that respect, but it is quite pleasant. And I would agree with their assessment that it is light and refreshing. It's a good way of describing it, I think. So where does that leave us? So overall for cost, it's a 2. I mean, it's affordable for good whiskey if you don't mind paying that, if it's your kind of drink. As for quality, I mean, I don't have to think too hard about this one. To me, this is a 2. It's a nice drink for some occasional variety. It's certainly something that it's not quite crossing that line, doesn't really make me smile. But that doesn't say that there's anything wrong with it. It's actually a very pleasant drink. Very light, very refreshing. Kind of like a nice summer kind of dram, I suppose. But that makes it a yellow. You know, having a few bottles in the yellow category for something different is probably not a bad idea. And if this is your kind of drink, go for it. And with that, cheers. See you next time. Fresh.